Buddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. Namo tassa bhagavato arahato samma sambuddhassa. So friends, we come to the final talk of the retreat. And in the first three, we went somewhat in depth as you can go in just a half hour, for each of the three characteristics of existence. And we spoke about how it all stems from anicca. It's a logical progression. It starts with anicca, and then the understanding that whatever we cling to something that is impermanent and unstable, it is the cause of suffering. And finally, that even clinging to the idea of some kind of permanent self. This is the third characteristic, that there is no such thing. Even nibbana, even final extinguishment. This is why the Buddha says sabbe dhamma anatta. No matter how much people want to try to find some kind of a self, some kind of a permanent essence, there's no such thing. So I want to share one more sutta. We'll go over it. It's a small one, but it kind of helps put it all together. So this is from a series. So this is a interior, exterior. It's multiple suttas that is explaining, that all of these things are part of the three characteristics of existence. So we have the interior, and we'll see what the interior is. Mendicants, Venerable Sir, they replied, mendicants, the I is impermanent. So we're talking about the interior sense bases. So that's the first thing. The I is impermanent. What's impermanent is suffering. What's suffering is not self. Remember from the Anatalakkhana Sutta, the first argument, technically the second argument, but the argument is that if it were some kind of permanent self, you'd have power. You'd have some kind of ability to say, be like this and don't be like that. But you don't. So this way of looking at something, you can observe anything. Is this impermanent? While you're meditating, while whatever throughout the day, is this permanent or impermanent? And you think, okay, well, it seems permanent right now. It's still here. But eventually, years down the road, it will change, or we'll be gone, or whatever. So it's impermanent. And then, if I were to attach to this thing, would it lead to suffering? And because it's impermanent, the answer is yes. And then you reflect, well, is this me, mine, or myself? And seeing with wisdom, the answer would be no. So anything that you experience that is impermanent, suffering, and not self, what does the Buddhist tell us to do? To abandon it, because it is for your long-lasting benefit. So what's suffering is not self. And what's not self should be truly seen with right understanding like this. This is not mine. I am not this. This is not myself. And so it's the same thing with the ear, the nose, the tongue, the body, and the mind. the mind is impermanent. What's impermanent is suffering. What's suffering is not self. And what's not self should be truly seen with right understanding like this. This is not mine. I am not this. This is not myself. Seeing this, a learned, noble disciple grows disillusioned with the eye, ear, nose, tongue, body, and mind. Being disillusioned, desire fades away. When desire fades away, they're freed. When they're freed, they know they're freed. They understand rebirth is ended, the spiritual journey has been completed, what had to be done has been done. There is nothing further for this place. Right? This very deep understanding leads to freedom from suffering. Now, very briefly, we've gone over everything pretty much on here, but this is the mind map that you have in the reference sheet. You can keep this as a trusty reminder of the characteristics of all existence around you. But I want to point to the top here. Yes, okay, the top left. This is another important quote. Therefore, Digavu, established upon these 4 factors of stream entry, you should develop further 6 things that partake in true knowledge. Here, Digavu, dwelling, contemplating impermanence in all formations. So this is all conditioned things. So you're contemplating, as we practiced yesterday, contemplating impermanence in everything. You're reflecting on every aspect of your experience, whatever it is. You can choose one. You reflect on the impermanence of it. And then perceiving suffering in what is impermanent. When we don't perceive suffering in what is impermanent, we attach to it. We expect it to be otherwise than it is. And we call it, and we create our own suffering. But if you perceive this, if you say, oh, if I attach to this and act in a deluded manner, I'm going to cause myself suffering. So I'm not going to do it. You're able to see in the future that you will have created suffering for yourself. So you naturally just want to let go. You naturally don't want to attach, knowing that you will have created suffering. Perceiving suffering in what is impermanent, and perceiving not self in what is suffering. Now, of course, it should go without saying that the Buddha is not saying perceive self in what is pleasurable or what is happiness, right? But this is the natural progression that the Buddha is giving here. If something is impermanent, if something, when attached to, is suffering, then it is not self. And one person might say, well, then, okay, well, I'm just going to keep investigating everything. And one of these days, I will find something that's permanent and not suffering. And then that's myself. Of course, the Buddha tells us that there's no such thing. But it's still good to investigate. You have to be able to see it for yourself to understand this. Now, the Buddha said to develop 6 things, right? So these are the first 3, and then the other 3 are perceiving abandonment, so perceiving letting go, perceiving fading away, and perceiving cessation. This is the way you should train yourself. When we do the guided meditations, actually, we're going to practice applying 6 factors to our experience. This is something that was taught to me at Bhavana retreat by Bhante Silananda, and I found it to be very beneficial for my practice for a long time. And now, one last thing to share. This link is also in the reference sheet. It's a very good, it's from what they call a wheel publication from a long time ago. And it's a number of very famous senior monastics who are talking about the three characteristics of existence. So it is also something I highly recommend checking out. This is just an introduction, but by the famous Bhante. But this line here, it says, existence can be understood only if these three basic facts are comprehended. What three? Three characteristics of existence. So you cannot understand existence without comprehending these three characteristics of existence. And this not only logically, but in confrontation with one's own experience. Insight wisdom, which is the ultimate liberating factor in Buddhism, consists just of this experience of the three characteristics. So what did I say at the beginning of the retreat? When one sees something with this mindset of vipassana, when one sees things as they are, what you are seeing in whatever experience you're investigating is the three characteristics of existence. That's what this Bhante is saying here. Consists just of this experience of the three characteristics applied to one's own body and mental processes, and deepened and matured in meditation. To see things as they really are means seeing them consistently in the light of the three characteristics. Ignorance of these three, or self-deception about them, this is what I was just talking about, right? Is by itself a potent cause for suffering. By knitting, as it were, the net of false hopes, of unrealistic and harmful desires, of false ideologies, false values and aims of life, in which man is caught, ignoring or distorting these three basic facts can only lead to frustration, disappointment, and despair. Oh, there. So, as I have said multiple times throughout this retreat, what it comes down to is the desire to want to see things as they are, to get past the hopes and the wishes and the desires for things to be how you would like them to be. Just like we were talking about during the Q&A yesterday about the having an expectation that somebody wouldn't cut you off in traffic. Right? No, why would you expect that they wouldn't? You'd probably be better expecting that they would cut you off in traffic. Of course, this is the way things are. And so when you make that decision, when you want to courageously see things as they are, then you put it into practice. You question and you investigate. This thing, is this permanent or impermanent? How long will it last? Now, if it might be 40 years, you might, like, oh, okay, well, I have time. I'll think about it more later. But we also, well, if we're wise, we recognize that whatever time frames that we think that we have can change at any minute. All right? The people we know, our own lives, whatever. You say, oh, I'll handle it in like a year or two. Everybody could be gone in a year or two. You don't know. Why? Because sabbe sankhara anicca. All conditioned things are impermanent. When you live in such a way, maybe not even fully, because I can't even say I personally live completely in Sabbe Sankara Anicca. I have, I'm not awakened. So I have my moments as well. But the more you live in that way, the more actually you understand what's really important. Remember, we were talking about, was it this morning? I think it was this morning, about how what the average person sees as happiness, the wise know as suffering. And what the wise see as happiness, the average person sees as suffering. We don't know. We don't know what really is essential. This is another thing in the Dhammapada. The one who does not understand, one who thinks, one who sees the unessential in the essential, and the essential in the unessential. Right? Because of our delusion, because of our ignorance, because we don't see things as they are, we have no clue what is true and essential. We just kind of go through life, creating suffering for ourselves, causing harm to others. But the more we understand Sabbe Sankara Anicca, the more we understand this, the more we live in line with it. And the less suffering we have. And this, obviously, this is not even necessarily just what happens to you, but this is in our own mind. Those things that we hold on to, our ideologies, our views, our beliefs. And we were talking about crossing the stream and how even once you cross the stream, you don't hold on to the Dhamma, you let it go. Even the Dhamma is to be let go, let alone and all other kind of things. When we hold on to things strongly, trying to fight against impermanence. What's that poem like? Rage, rage against the dying of the light. Right? This is kind of what we do. It's like, oh, we're gonna fight against if we fight against the nature of reality hard enough, then we'll win. That's not how it works. That only creates more suffering. If we live in line with the nature of reality, we understand why we cause ourselves so much suffering. I see it. I'll give myself as an example, right? I'm trying to put through so much effort and work to create this organization and say it works out. I create it. But then maybe nobody takes it over. And then after I die, it goes away. I can feel it. Like when I think about that, that hurts. Like, oh no, I want this to last well past my life. But Sabbe Sankara Anicca, it might not. Right? I have to accept that. I have to also accept that it might not even happen. Maybe it goes so far and it doesn't happen anymore. Of course, it doesn't. There's pain there. There's suffering there. Oh, I don't want that to happen. But it is possible. Because all conditioned things are impermanent. So I can attach to it and kind of cause myself lots of anxiety, or I can do my best and work hard and accept that it might not last, because nothing does. And that's okay. the more you are comfortable with that basic truth of life, the less suffering you have. The less raging against the machine, or the dying of the light or whatever. The less you're raging, the more calm, peace, laying down of the burden you have. Even so, for myself, I sometimes, my old self still comes in and is like, oh, you have to, worry about what's happening in the world, or you have to, because you want to say something about this or this or this. And that's where you're like, wait a second, there's plenty enough people to do that. I'm trying to do something more important, something better. Right? So let them handle that, and I'll do my best to try to do this. So we always have lots of things that we are attached to. But when we understand the characteristics of existence, then we actually can engage in these things, knowing full well what can happen. This will be impermanent. If I attach to this too much, it'll be suffering. Ajahn Brahm tells the story of when he was in his early years as abbot, and you go around and you just see all the faults of the place and everything that needs to be done, and it's just suffering to be in this place. And as somebody, I basically ran the day-to-day of Bhavana for a couple of years, and I know that mind. I know, oh, that kuti has mold, and this has this, and that has this, and it's just like your mind will just be mired in suffering all the time. Or you can have a calm, peaceful mind, understanding things will go as they go, and then with that calm, peaceful mind, with mindfulness and clear comprehension, and you can know what is to do. You can understand, oh, we should do this, which you can't see. The Buddha, basically tells us that when your mind is full of attachment and craving and ill will and all these things, your mind is so clouded that you can't really know what is good for yourself or others. But the more we're able to live in line with nature and not be creating so much suffering for ourselves and harm for others, then the better you can actually do with whatever is in front of you, with your own life, helping out others, building things, whatever. So understanding, trying to live in line with the truth that everything is unstable and undependable, in the beginning can sound scary. We don't like uncertainty. We really don't. We're afraid of uncertainty. We have, in modern society, have done our best with our technology to try to minimize uncertainty as much as possible. For most of us in the modern world, we know that when we go to bed, we wake up, well, our electricity will be there. Our plumbing will be there. All of these things will be there. So that's one less thing uncertain. But then you wake up and there's no electricity. It's like last week or 2 weeks ago, I was sitting down in the morning to do, my work and emails and Maggasekha work and everything, and the power just went out. I'm like, well, that's weird. There's no storm. Nothing's happening. What's going on? And I'm like, okay, it'll probably be back in a minute or two. 1 minute, 5 minutes, it's not coming back. And I go down and to ask my father, and he says, oh, they're changing, they're changing poles down the street, and it'll be out till like 3 o'clock. Later this is at like 9 o'clock in the morning. And of course, it didn't actually come back until like 6. But I was like, oh, what do I do with myself? And I'm like, I had to adjust, right? But, an hour before, I knew exactly what I was doing. I got to check emails, got to do this, got to work on, 501c3, da 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 da. And then I have no electricity at all. What do I do? Oh, okay, I just have to adjust. It's uncertain. We don't know. Things are much more uncertain than we want to think that they are. And that is because sabbe sankhara anicca. So if we become comfortable with uncertainty, comfortable with the fact that everything is impermanent and unstable, when we hear that word, when we hear that phrase, we think we become afraid. Because what are we thinking? We're thinking that only bad things come from uncertainty. Only bad things come from the fact that things change, things are impermanent. But actually, no, good things also come. How many people I've heard in my life where they'll get fired from a job or something bad happens that they think is bad, and then 2 years later, that led to a better job or a better life experience or whatever, and they're like, "Oh, I'm so happy that happened to me." Right? I didn't think that at the time, but I'm really happy that things worked out the way they did. So this is both the positive and the negative of the fact that everything is unstable. Everything's undependable. It's actually a rare person who can roll with the punches of that, who can be like, okay, yeah, everything's unstable. It's going to change. Any plans I make now, if I hold on to them really strongly, I'm just going to make things worse. So I plan, things change, I adjust my plan, I adjust my goals. Because, as Bhante Gunaratana has always said, the only thing permanent is impermanence. So whatever you're planning in life, you should plan for impermanence. Plan for the fact that things are going to change. And you can bet on the fact that if you are attached to something that is impermanent, the harder you hold on to something that's impermanent, the harder your suffering will be. You can bet on it because that's the nature of reality. The more you let go, the more peace you have. So this is a good thing to remember. You wake up today, everything's impermanent. Who knows what it'll be like, this afternoon, if I even make it to see the afternoon. Those of you who attend my sessions, I say, if I'm alive tomorrow, if I'm alive next week, we'll be back for another MME or Dhammapalooza or whatever. But that's a good reminder, though, isn't it? People are here, and then they're not. Experiences are here, and then they're not. We have a choice as to whether we want to suffer because of that. Now, of course, we can't force ourselves not to suffer. We can't force ourselves not to attach. Because our ignorance and our delusion is so strong that willpower is never enough, at least in the long term. But we can practice the Noble Eightfold Path. We can continuously reflect on the three characteristics of existence, applying those three things to any experience we have. Developing this mind state of all that is impermanent, when clung to is suffering, and all that is suffering is not self. So with that, we can have our final meditation. So as always, set your body up in that comfortable, stable position. Do the mindful scan of the body, and then when you're ready, just transition into following the breath. As you're going through each part of the body, ask yourself that question. Is this me? Is this mine? Is this myself? No matter how obvious it may seem, just ask the question anyway. Is there a self in the rising and falling of the chest? Some permanent essence there? Watching the changing, unstable nature of the body, breathing in and out. Can you find anything in your experience now that is stable, that is self, soul? Keep looking until you find it. For the rest of the meditation, widen your awareness. You encompass your body and mind, allowing whatever to arise to do so when the causes and conditions are right. Thoughts, emotions, bodily sensations. Let whatever arise. Let it cease. And whatever is arising, apply 6 factors to it. Whatever is arising, can repeat in your mind, this is impermanent. This is unsatisfactory. This is soulless. Or you can use whatever English word you prefer, or you can just use the Pali, Anicca, Dukkha, Anatta, whatever you like. That's the first 3. And then after the first 3, you continue on. You say, this is not me. This is not mine. This is not myself. Whatever you are experiencing for the rest of the meditation, whatever is arising, repeat the words, this is impermanent. This is unsatisfactory. This is soulless. This is not me. This is not mine. This is not myself. Or you can take those 6 factors and put them in the form of a question for whatever is arising. Whatever is arising, is this impermanent? Is this unsatisfactory? Is this soulless? Is this me? Is this mine? Is this myself? Continue in this way, applying the 6 factors to whatever experience arises. If it works better for you, you can even switch the phrasing around, whatever arises. This is not me. This is not mine. This is not myself. This is impermanent. This is unsatisfactory. This is soulless. Whatever it is, recognizing the 6 factors in its existence. Slowly start to open your eyes, becoming aware of the room around you and your body's position in it, reflecting on the state of your mind before and after the meditation, and contemplating any experiences that stood out. So let's take about a 5-minute break. Right now, for me, it's just before 2:30. So why don't we come back at 2:35? So 35, whatever time it is for you. It's in about 5 or 6 minutes. I would say I'd ring the bell, but you can't hear it anyways. So 35 it'll be.